Section 34 of The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2 by Xueqin, translated by Henry Bancroft Joly. Chapter 42, Part 1. The Princess of Hangwu dispels with sweet words some insane suspicions. The inmate of Shaoshan puts, with excellent repartee, the final touch to the jokes made about Goody Liu. We will now resume our story by adding that, on the return of the young ladies into the garden, they had their meal. This over, they parted company, and nothing more need be said about them. We will notice, however, that old Goody Liu took Peng Er along with her, and came first and pay a visit to Lady Feng. "We must certainly start for home tomorrow as soon as it is daylight," she said. "I've stayed here, it's true, only 2 or 3 days, but in these few days I have reaped experience in everything that I had not seen from old till now. It would be difficult to find anyone as compassionate of the poor and considerate to the old as your venerable dame, your Madam Wang, your young ladies, and the girls too attached to the various rooms have all shown themselves in their treatment of me. When I get home now, I shall have no other means of showing how grateful I am to you than by purchasing a lot of huge joss sticks and saying daily prayers to Buddha on your behalf. And if he spares you all to enjoy a long life of 100 years, my wishes will be accomplished." "Don't be so exultant," Lady Feng smilingly replied. "It's all on account of you that our old ancestor has fallen ill by exposing herself to draughts, and that she suffers from disturbed sleep. Also that our Dajie has caught a chill and is laid up at home with fever." Goody Liu at these words speedily heaved a sigh. "Her venerable ladyship," she said, "is a person advanced in years, and not accustomed to any intense fatigue. She has never before been in such high spirits as yesterday," Lady Feng observed. "As you were here, so anxious was she to let you see everything that she trudged over the greater part of the garden. And Dajie was given a piece of cake by Madam Wang when I came to hunt you up, and she ate it, who knows in what windy place, and began at once to get feverish. Dajie," Goody Liu remarked, "hasn't, I fancy, often put her foot into the garden, and young people like her mustn't really go into strange places, for she's not like our children, who are able to use their legs. In what graveyards don't they ramble about? A puff of wind may, on the one hand, have struck her. It's not at all unlikely. Or being, on the other, so chaste in body, and her eyes also so pure, she may, it is to be feared, have come across some spirit or other. I can't help thinking, therefore, that you should consult some book of exorcisms on her behalf. For, mind, she may have run up against some evil influence." This remark suggested the idea to Lady Feng. There and then she called Peng Er to fetch the jade box record. When brought, she desired Cai Ming to look over it for her. Cai Ming turned over the pages for a time and then read. "Those who fall ill on the 25th day of the 8th moon have come across, in the due restly quarter of some flower spirit. They feel heavy, with no inclination for drink or food. Take 7 sheets of white paper money, and advancing 40 steps due west, burn them and exorcise the spirit. Recovery will follow at once." "There's really no mistake about that," Lady Feng smiled. "Are there not flower spirits in the garden? But what I dread is that our old lady mayn't have come across one too." Saying this, she bade a servant purchase 2 lots of paper money. On their arrival, she sent for 2 proper persons, the one to exorcise the spirits for Dowager Lady Jia, and the other to expel them from Dazhe. And these observances over, Dazhe did, in fact, drop quietly to sleep. Is verily people advanced in years like you, Lady Feng smilingly exclaimed, who've gone through many experiences. This Dazhe of mine has often been inclined to ill, and it has quite puzzled me to make out how and why it was. This isn't anything out of the way, Goody Liu said. Affluent and honorable people bring up their offspring to be delicate, so naturally they are not able to endure the least hardship. Moreover, that young child of yours is so excessively cuddled that she can't stand it. Were you, therefore, my lady, to pamper her less from henceforth, she'll steadily improve. There's plenty of reason in that too, Lady Feng observed. But it strikes me that she hasn't as yet got a name. So do give her one in order that she may borrow your long life. In the next place, you are country people, and are, after all, I don't expect you'll get angry when I mentioned it, somewhat in poor circumstances. For a person then as poor as you are to suggest a name for her, you may, I trust, have the effect of counteracting this influence for her. When old Goody Liu heard this proposal, she immediately gave herself up to reflection. I have no idea of the date of her birth, she smiled after a time. She really was born on no propitious date, Lady Feng replied. By a remarkable coincidence, she came into the world on the 7th day of the 7th moon. This is certainly splendid. Old Goody Liu laughed with alacrity. You had better name her at once Zhaozhe, that is, 7th moon, and ingenuity. This is what's generally called combating poison by poison and attacking fire by fire. If therefore your ladyship fixes upon this name of mine, she will, for a surety, attain a long life of 100 years. And when she by and by grows up to be a big girl, every one of you will be able to have a home and get a patrimony. Or, if at any time there occur anything inauspicious and she has to face adversity, why, it will inevitably change into prosperity. And if she comes across any evil fortune, it will turn into good fortune. And this will all arise from this one word, Zhao, that is ingenuity. Lady Feng was, needless to say, delighted by what she heard, and she lost no time in expressing her gratitude. If she be preserved, she exclaimed, to accomplish your good wishes, it will be such a good thing. Saying this, she called Ping Er. As you and I are bound to be busy tomorrow, she said, and won't, I fear, be able to spare any leisure moments, you'd better, if you have nothing to do now, get ready the presents for old Goody Liu, so as to enable her to conveniently start at early dawn tomorrow. How could I presume to be the cause of such reckless waste? Goody Liu interposed. I've already disturbed your peace and quiet for several days, and were I to also take your things away, I'd feel still less at ease in my heart. There's nothing much, Lady Feng protested. They consist simply of a few ordinary things. But whether good or bad, to take them along, so that the people in the same street as yourselves and your next-door neighbors may have some little excitement, and that it may look as if you had been on a visit to the city. But while she endeavored to induce the old dame to accept the presents, she noticed Ping Er approach. Goody Liu, she remarked, come over here and see. Old Goody Liu precipitately followed Ping Er into the room on the off side. Here she saw the stove coach half full with piles of things. Ping Er took these up one by one and let her have a look at them. This, she explained, is a roll of that green gauze you asked for yesterday. Besides this, our Lady Feng gives you a piece of thick bluish white gauze to use as lining. These are 2 pieces of punji, which will do for weather coats and jupas as well. In this bundle are 2 pieces of silk for you to make clothes with for the end of the year. This is a box containing various homemade cakes. Among them are some you've already tasted and some you haven't. So take them along and put them in plates and invite your friends. They will be ever so much better than any that you could buy. These 2 bags are those in which the melons and fruit were packed up yesterday. This one has been filled with 2 bushels of fine rice grown in the imperial fields, the like of which for kanji it would not be easy to get. This one contains fruits from our garden and all kinds of dry fruits. In this packet, you will find egg-tails of silver. These various things are presents for you from our Mistress Secunda. Each of these packets contains 50 taels, so that there are in all 100 taels. They are the gift of Madame Wang. She bids you accept them so as to either carry on any trade for which no big capital is required, or to purchase several acres of land in order that you mayn't henceforward have any more to beg favors of relatives or to depend upon friends. Continuing, she added smilingly in a low tone of voice, these 2 jackets, 2 jupas, 4 headbands, and a bundle of velvet and thread are what I give you, worthy dame, as my share. These clothes are, it is true, the worse for use, yet I haven't worn them very much. But if you disdain them, I won't be so presuming as to say anything. After mention of each article by Ping Er, Good Liu muttered the name of Buddha. So already she had repeated Buddha's name several thousands of times. But when she saw the heap of presents which Ping Er too bestowed on her, and the little ostentation with which she did it, she promptly smiled. Miss, she said, what are you saying? Could I ever disdain such nice gifts as these? Had I even the money, I couldn't buy them anywhere. The only thing is that I feel overpowered with shame. If I keep them, it won't be nice. And if I don't accept them, I shall be showing myself ungrateful for your kind attention. Don't utter all this irrelevant talk. Ping Er laughed. You and I are friends. So compose your mind and take the things I gave you just now. Besides, I have, on my part, something to ask of you. When the close of the year comes, select a few of your cabbages, dipped in lime and dried in the sun, as well as some lentils, flat beans, tomatoes, and pumpkin strips, and various sorts of dry vegetables, and bring them over. We are all, both high or low, fond of such things. This will be quite enough. We don't want anything else, so don't go to any useless trouble. Good Liu gave utterance to profuse expressions of gratitude, and signified her readiness to comply with her wishes. Just you go to sleep, Ping Er urged, and I'll get the things ready for you and put them in here. As soon as the day breaks tomorrow, I'll send the servant lads to hire a cart and pack them in. Don't you therefore worry yourself in the least on that score. Good Liu felt more and more ineffably grateful. So crossing over, she again said, with warm protestations of thankfulness, goodbye to Lady Feng. After which she repaired to Dowager Lady Jia's quarters on this side, where she slept, with one sleep, during the whole night. Early the next day, as soon as she had combed her hair and performed her ablutions, she asked to go and pay her adieus to Lady Jia. But as old Lady Jia was unwell, the various members of the family came to see how she was getting on. On their reappearance outside, they transmitted orders that the doctor should be sent for. In a little time, a matron reported that the doctor had arrived, and an old nurse invited Dowager Lady Jia to ensconce herself under the curtain. "I'm an old woman," Lady Jia remonstrated. "Am I not aged enough to be a mother to that fellow? Am I, pray, to still stand on any ceremonies with him? There's no need to drop the curtain. I'll see him as I am, and have done." Hearing her objections, the matrons fetched a small table, and laying a small pillow on it, they directed a servant to ask the doctor in. Presently, they perceived the trio Jia Zhen, Jia Lin, and Jia Rong bringing Dr. Wang. Dr. Wang did not presume to use the raised road, but confining himself to the side steps, he kept pace with Jia Zhen until they reached the platform. Two matrons who had been standing, one on either side from an early hour, raised the portiere. A couple of old women servants then took the lead and showed the way in. But Baoyu, too, appeared on the scene to meet them. They found old Lady Jia seated bolt upright on the coach, dressed in a blue crepe jacket lined with sheepskin, every curl of which resembled a pearl. On the right and left stood four young maids, whose hair had not as yet been allowed to grow, with flying brushes, finger bowls, and other such articles in their hands. 5 or 6 old nurses were also drawn up on both sides like wings. At the back of the jade green gauze mosquito house were faintly visible several persons in red and green habiliments, with gems on their heads and gold trinkets in their coiffures. Dr. Wang could not muster the courage to raise his head. With speedy step, he advanced and paid his obeisance. Dowager Lady Jia noticed that he wore the official dress of the 6th grade, and she accordingly concluded that he must be an imperial physician. "How are you, noble doctor?" she inquired, forcing a smile. "What is the worthy surname of this noble doctor?" she then asked Jia Zhen. Jia Zhen and his companions made prompt reply. "His surname is Wang," they said. "There was once a certain Wang Jinxiao who filled the chair of president of the College of Imperial Physicians," Dowager Lady smilingly proceeded. "He excelled in feeling the pulse." Dr. Wang bent his body, and with alacrity he lowered his head and returned her smile. "That was," he explained, "my grand-uncle." "Is it really so?" lively pursued Dowager Lady Jia upon catching this reply. "We can then call ourselves old friends." So speaking, she quietly put out her hand and rested it on the small pillow. A nurse laid hold of a small stool and placed it before the small table. Slightly to the side of it, Dr. Wang bent one knee and took a seat on the stool. Drooping his head, he felt the pulse of the one hand for a long while. Next, he examined that of the other, after which, hastily making a curtsy, he bent his head and started on his way out of the apartment. "Excuse me for the trouble I've put you to," Dowager Lady Jia smiled. "Jane, escort him outside, and do see that he has a cup of tea." Jia Zhen, Jia Lin, and the rest of their companions immediately acquiesced by uttering several yeses, and once more they led Dr. Wang into the outer study. "Your worthy senior," Dr. Wang explained, "has nothing else the matter with her than a slight chill, which she must have inadvertently contracted. She needn't, after all, take any medicines. All she need do is to diet herself and keep warm a little, and she'll get all right. But I will now write a prescription in here. Should her venerable ladyship care to take any of the medicine, then prepare a dose, according to the prescription, and let her have it. But should she be loath to have any, well, never mind, it won't be of any consequence." Saying this, he wrote the prescription as he sipped his tea, but when about to take his leave, he saw a nurse bring Jie into the room. "Mr. Wang," she said, "do also have a look at our Jie." Upon hearing her appeal, Dr. Wang immediately rose to his feet. While she was clasped in her nurse's arms, he rested Jie's hand on his left hand and felt her pulse with his right. and rubbing her forehead, he asked her to put out her tongue and let him see it. Were I to express my views about Jia, you would again abuse me. If she's, however, kept quiet and allowed to go hungry for a couple of meals, she'll get over this. There's no necessity for her to take any decocted medicines. I'll just send her some pills, which you'll have to dissolve in a preparation of ginger, and give them to her before she goes to sleep. When she has had these, there will be nothing more the matter with her. At the conclusion of these recommendations, he bade them goodbye and took his departure. Jia Zhen and his companions then took the prescription and came and explained to old Lady Jia the nature of her indisposition, and depositing on the table the paper given to them by the doctor. They quitted her presence, but nothing more need be said about them. Madame Wang and Li Wen, Lady Feng, Baochai, and the other young ladies noticed, meanwhile, that the doctor had gone, and they eventually egressed from the back of the mosquito house. After a short stay, Madame Wang returned to her quarters. Goody Liu repaired, when she perceived everything quiet again, into the upper rooms and made her adieus to Dowager Lady Jia. "When you've got any leisure, do pay us another visit," old Lady Jia urged, and bidding Yuan Yang come to her. "Do be careful," she added, "and see Dame Liu safely on her way out. For not being well, I can't escort you myself." Goody Liu expressed her thanks, and saying goodbye a second time, she betook herself, along with Yuan Yang, into the servants' quarters. Here Yuan Yang pointed at a bundle on the stove couch. "These are," she said, "several articles of clothing belonging to our old mistress. They were presented to her in years gone by members of our family on her birthdays and various festivals. Her ladyship never wears anything made by people outside, yet to hoard these would be a downright pity. Indeed, she hasn't worn them even once. It was yesterday that she told me to get out 2 costumes and hand them to you to take along with you, either to give as presents or to be worn by someone in your home. But don't make fun of us. In the box you'll find the flower fruits, for which you asked. This bundle contains the medicines to which you alluded the other day. There are plum blossom spotted tongue pills, and purple gold ingot pills, also vivifying blood vessels pills, as well as driving offspring and preserving life pills, each kind being rolled up in a sheet bearing the prescription, and the whole lot of them are packed up in here. While these 2 are purses for you to wear in the way of ornaments." So saying, she forthwith loosened the cord, and producing 2 ingots representing pencils, and with "Ru on them, implying, "Your wishes will surely be fulfilled," she drew near and showed them to her. "Take the purses," she pursued, smiling, "but do leave these behind and give them to me." Goody Liu was so overjoyed that she had, from an early period, come out afresh with several thousands of invocations of Buddha's names. When she therefore heard Yuan Yang's suggestion, "Miss," she quickly rejoined, "you are at perfect liberty to keep them." Yuan Yang perceived that the words were believed by her. So smiling, she once more dropped the ingots into the purse. "I was only joking with you for fun," she observed. "I've got a good many like these. Keep them therefore, and give them, at the close of the year, to your young children." Speaking the while, she espied a young maid walk in with a cup from the Xueqin, and hand it to old Goody Liu. "This," she said, "our master Secundus, Mr. Bao, gives you." "Whence could I begin enumerating the things I got?" Goody Liu exclaimed. "In what previous existence did I accomplish anything so meritorious as to bring today this heap of blessings upon me?" With these words, she eagerly took possession of the cup. "The clothes I gave you the other day when I asked you to have a bath were my own," Yuan Yang resumed, "and if you don't think them too mean, I've got a few more which I would also like to let you have." Goody Liu thanked her with vehemence. So Yuanyang, in point of fact, produced several more articles of clothing, and these she packed up for her. Goody Liu thereupon expressed a desire to also go into the garden and take leave of Baoyu and the young ladies, Madame Wang and the other inmates, and to thank them for all they did for her. But Yuanyang raised objections. You can dispense with going, she remarked. They don't see anyone just now, but I'll deliver the message for you by and by. When you've got any leisure, do come again. Go to the second gate, she went on to direct an old matron, and call 2 servant-lads to come here and have this old dame to take your things away. After the matron had signified her obedience, Yuanyang returned with Goody Liu to Lady Feng's quarters, on the off part of the mansion, and taking the presents as far as the side gates, she bade the servant-lads carry them out. She herself then saw Goody Liu into her curricle and start on her journey homewards. But without commenting further on this topic, let us revert to Baochai and the other girls. After breakfast, they recrossed into their grandmother's rooms and made inquiries about her health. On their way back to the garden, they reached a point where they had to take different roads. Baochai then called out to Daiyu. "Ping-er," she observed, "come with me. I've got a question to ask you." Daiyu went at her steps, therefore with Baochai, into the Hangwu court. As soon as they entered the house, Baochai threw herself into a seat. "Kneel down," she smiled. "I want to examine you about something." Daiyu could not fathom her object, and consequently laughed. "Look here," she cried. "This chit Bao has gone clean off her senses. What do you want to examine me about?" Baochai gave a sardonic smile. "My dear, precious girl, my dear maiden," she exclaimed, "what utter trash fills your mouth? Just speak the honest and candid truth, and finish." Daiyu could so little guess her meaning that her sole resource was to smile. Inwardly, however, she could not help beginning to experience certain misgivings. "What did I say?" she remarked. "You're bent upon picking out my faults? Speak out and let me hear what's all about." "Do you still pretend to be a fool?" Baochai laughed. "When we played yesterday that game of wine forfeits, what did you say? I really couldn't make out any head or tail." Daiyu, after a moment's reflection, remembered eventually that she had the previous day been guilty of a slip of the tongue, and come out with a couple of passages from the Peony Pavilion and the record of the West Side House, and of a sudden her face got scarlet with blushes. Drawing near Baochai, she threw her arms around her. "My dear cousin," she smiled, "I really wasn't conscious of what I was saying. It just blurted out of my mouth. But now that you've called me to task, I won't say such things again." "I've no idea of what you were driving at," Baochai laughingly rejoined. "What I heard you recite sounds so thoroughly unfamiliar to me that I beg you to enlighten me." "Dear cousin," pleaded Daiyu, "don't tell anyone else. I won't, in the future, breathe such things again." End of section 34.